Hope you're having an amazing one, Wrestlezona family, whenever you happen to be tuning in. My name is Lance Reese, your definitive host for the hour. I've been a fan of professional wrestling since I was about 6 years old, begging my parents to buy me action figures ever since I saw videos of Jeff Hardy's Swanton bombing on YouTube. We got another packed episode for you today, as we here on episode 10 of Wrestlezona on 88.7 The Pulse. We'll cover what's happening in the world of WWE, All Elite Wrestling, the Indies, and even wrestling here local in the Valley. Stay tuned to hear which NXT match will take place at Roadblock, results from last weekend's IZW Monster event, upcoming shows here in Arizona, and more all coming up. We have some exciting segments coming up this hour, such as our 10-bell history, and we also have an exclusive interview with the Frank Sinatra of the Spanish Mafia, Gino Rivera. Hopping into the world of WWE, we will cover results from the Elimination Chamber event from Toronto next week on Wrestlezona, with this episode being filmed prior to March 1st. But what I do want to talk about, and something I'm anticipating coming up soon, is the NXT Roadblock Premium Live event. Announced so far is Obafemi defending his NXT Championship in a singles match against the TNA X Division Champion Moose. The Hardy Boys, Jeff and Matt Hardy, will defend their TNA Tag Team Championship against Nathan Frazer and Axiom. And then, in a winner-takes-all match for the NXT Women's Championship and NXT Women's North American Championship, it will be Gila versus Stephanie Baker. Some context leading into the event. At Vengeance Day on February 15th, NXT champion Obafemi was ambushed by a debuting four-man heel group consisting of Dion Lennox, Cutler James, Saquon Sugars, and Osiris Griffin after his successful title defense. On the following episode of NXT, Femi addressed the attack and challenged the group to finish what they started, only to be interrupted by the X Division champion Moose in his debut appearance in WWE. Moose stated that a match between the two had to happen, which Femi agreed. On the February 20th episode of Impact, after Moose's System stablemate JDC defeated Leon Slater, the System viciously attacked Slater. When Moose was about to attack Slater, TNA World Tag Team Champions the Hardys appeared and came to Slater's aid, but were outnumbered. Femi then made a surprise appearance, laying out JDC, Myers, and Eddie before staring down Moose. On the February 25th episode of NXT, after Moose successfully defended his title, Femi announced that he would defend the NXT Championship against Moose at Roadblock. At TNA Genesis on January 19th, NXT Tag Team Champions Nathan Frazer and Axiom made a surprise appearance and sat at ringside to watch the Hardy Boys defend the TNA World Tag Team Championship, seizing a match against each other. On the February 25th episode of NXT, the Hardy Boys defeated No Quarter Catch Crew in a non-title match in their first match as a team in WWE since 2019. During the match, Axiom and Frazer appeared to watch it at ringside. After the match, Axiom and Frazer confronted the Hardy Boys. Frazer then stated that he and Axiom were the best tag team in the world today, but that the Hardy Boys were the best tag team of all time. Jeff then stated that they should have a match. TNA Director of Authority Santino Marella subsequently appeared and announced that after speaking with NXT General Manager Ava, the Hardy Boys would defend the TNA World Tag Team Championship against Axiom and Frazer at Roadblock. In 2024, former New Japan Pro Wrestling rivals Gila and Stephanie Baker made their WWE debuts. Gila would go on to win the NXT Women's Championship at New Year's Evil, while Vicor won the NXT Women's North American Championship at Vengeance Day. On the February 25th episode of NXT, Baker defeated Carmen Petrovic to retain her title. After the match, Baker was confronted by Gila, who said that Baker called her the best champion, but Gila said that she was better. Gila said that although she was Baker's friend, she wanted to challenge her to a winner-takes-all match for both the NXT Women's Championship and North American Championship. Later that night, the NXT General Manager Ava made the match official for Roadblock. Again, an eventful week for WWE. I'm Lance Reese with Wrestlezona on 88.7 The Pulse. Now let's recap All Elite Wrestling's week. Just some quick results from AEW Dynamite from February 26 from the All Elite Wrestling website. AEW Dynamite was broadcast on TBS and streamed on Max live from Front Wave Arena in Oceanside, California. Excalibur, Taz, and Tony Schiavone were the broadcast team for the night's event. Some footage played early in the night of Cope arriving in the back of an ambulance. Then there was also footage played earlier in the day of MJF getting his AEW tattoo removed. Then it was Hangman Adam Page versus Aaron Solo. Page booted Solo in the head. Page clobbered Solo in the corner in a fit of rage. Solo connected with a corkscrew kick. Page retaliated with a clothesline, only for Page to follow with the buckshot lariat and pin Aaron Solo. The Don Callis family were showed sitting in a skybox. Renee Paquette was backstage trying to get a word with the Ring of Honor World Champion Chris Jericho, who didn't have much to say. It was then a bounty match between the bounty hunter Brian Keith versus the aerial assassin Will Ospreay. Keith clubbed Will with forearms. Will took down Keith with a Hurricane Rana. Keith chopped Will in the windpipe. Will used an arm drag on Brian Keith for Will just to scoop slam Keith and follow up with a standing sky twister press. Keith rolled out the ring, but Ospreay, undaunted, threw his body over the top rope and connected with a crossbody press. Brian Keith charged at Will and pump kicked Will in the head. Don Callis and Kyle Fletcher were watching from the skybox. Ospreay nailed Keith with a springboard elbow strike. Brian Keith chopped down Will with a lariat. Ospreay fired back with a Stun Dog Millionaire and then an Oz Cutter for a near fall. Ospreay went for the hidden blade, but Keith countered with a knee strike. Keith planted Will with an Emerald Driver. The fans chanted, "This is awesome." Ospreay hit a Styles Clash and then the hidden blade on Brian Keith to score the pin. Ospreay charged up the skybox, but Fletcher charged down. Both men began to brawl until security separated them. The TBS champion CEO Mercedes Moné was backstage with words for Momo. Billy Starks walked by and Mercedes knocked Billy's cup of water into Billy's face. Billy said, "If I were you, I'd watch your back." Momo was behind Mercedes and swung at her with a baseball bat. Mercedes ran away and Momo said she was coming for Monez's belt at Revolution. The Murder Machines, Lance Archer and Brian Cage, take on Truth Magnum and Turbo Floyd of the Outrunners. The Murder Machines double-teamed Truth. The Outrunners fired back with double drop kicks. Cage and Archer brought the Outrunners outside the ring and hammered them with lariats. Truth crushed Cage with a jawbreaker. Turbo tagged in and dished out punishment to Cage and Archer. Cage drilled Truth with a Death Valley driver. Turbo got ping-ponged back and forth by the Murder Machines. Archer taunted Turbo. Archer spiked Turbo with a chokeslam for a near fall. Archer went for the blackout, but the Hurt Syndicate's music began to play, and they walked out to the ramp. The momentary distraction allowed Turbo to roll up Archer and pick up the pinfall. Up next was some heated words with Swerve Strickland and Prince Nana. Ricochet walked out wearing the robe that belongs to the embassy, and things got even more heated. Renee Paquette was backstage with Hangman Adam Page, who had some words to say. Page said, "Max, when I find you, and I will, if I do not run you over, you will wish that I had." It was then a trios match between the TNT champion Daniel Garcia and FTR's Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler versus the Undisputed Kingdom of Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong. Garcia and Cole chain wrestled. Dax came in and Roddy grabbed a blind tag. Roddy chopped Dax in the corner. Dax fired back with his own chops. Dax rocked Roddy with a snap suplex. Garcia and Cole got into an argument after Cole saved Roddy from a pinfall attempt. Cole super kicked Dax. Kyle drop kicked Dax against the barricade. Roddy used the barricade to plant Garcia with a backbreaker. Kyle clobbered Dax with a PK for a near fall. The Undisputed Kingdom took turns assaulting Dax. Dax's right hand proved to be a difference maker. Dax applied a sharpshooter on Kyle. Kyle reached for the bottom rope to force the ref to break the hold. Cole jackknifed Garcia when Garcia was looking for the pile driver to pinned Garcia. It was announced that this Saturday at Collision it will be Cole versus Garcia for the TNT Championship. Claudio Castagnoli was backstage on the hunt for the Rated R superstar Cope. The Vendettas Dion Peroza took on Harley Cameron. while Tyree Valkyrie was watching the match on a monitor backstage. Harley hit a neckbreaker on Deonna. Harley backed up Deonna with a high kick. Deonna caught Harley on the side of the head with a big boot. Deonna connected with a sliding drop kick. Harley used her flexibility to escape the tree of woe in the corner. Harley shouted, "Feel the wrath." Harley cracked Deonna with a Shining Wizard knee strike for a near fall. Deonna pump kicked Harley in the head. Deonna powerbombed Harley and covered her, but Harley kicked out at the 2 count. Harley planted Deonna head first and earned a come from behind victory. And in the main event for the Revolution International Championship Series match, the Don Callis families, Alpha, Kontsuku Takeshita took out freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy. And by the end of the night, Takeshita blocked the Orange Punch and planted Orange with the Raging Fire, retaining the championship via pinfall. And it was official for Revolution that Takeshita will be taking on Kenny Omega in Los Angeles. That's a wrap on our All Elite update. I'm Lance Reese with Wrestlezona on 88.7 The Pulse. Let's get into some local recap. Just a quick recap from last weekend's IZW Monster, which took place at Bullshooters in Phoenix. In the VIP matches, Savannah Thorne and Morgan beat Noelle in Miss Paradise. In another VIP match, Jacob East pinned Ray Roses. For the IZW Women's Championship match, Alice Blair was able to retain her title against Bryn Thorne. In a triple threat for the IZW Heavyweight Champion, Evan Daniels lost his championship when he was handcuffed to a guardrail, and Can't Stop Jamal pinned Parada. For the Arizona State Heavyweight Championship match, champion EJ Sparks retained by pinning Martin Cassius. In a 5-way scramble match, Damian Drake won when he pinned Aguila, but the match also included DeShade, Baker Jeffcoat, and Jacob Austin Young. In the Navajo Warriors Retirement Tour Last Mile match, Navajo Warrior pinned Frankie Kazarian. And then, in the main Monster Rumble, in a match that saw Ocean Avery, Bryce Saturn, Damien Desire, and more, we saw Bryn Thorne pin Ray Roses to win the Monster match. The first woman to enter and win the Monster match, so she will have her chance to fight Can't Stop Jamal for the Men's Heavyweight Championship. A historic moment for IZW, for sure. W will be returning to Bullshooters May 10th for their Legends Never Die. We know for sure that we will see Bryn Thorne versus Can't Stop Jamal and a match with the Navajo Warrior and Gabriel Gallo returning for their tag team. I look quite forward to the GCW Just Being Honest show with matches such as Effie versus Super Crazy for the GCW World Championship, Mance Warner versus Zack Sabre Jr. for the JCW World Championship, Masha Slamovich versus Drew Parker, and more matches. I am very ecstatic about this show coming up. And do not forget, Phoenix Championship Wrestling is coming back to Mesa March 15th. For their next Live on Broadway show. That puts an end to our news section of the show. We have an interview with locker room leader Gino Rivera coming up alongside our 10 Bell history. Let's get into our 10 Bell history. 10 Bell history. 1. Zeus was brought in as an absolute unstoppable monster to face Hulk Hogan in 1989, and then again briefly in 1996. He also wrestled in Japan. He never won a single match in his entire wrestling career. 2. From a Bruno shoot with kayfabe commentaries, there was supposedly talk during Bruno's first run of either WWF rejoining the NWA or at least a title unification match with Bruno going over. He said he didn't want to do it because he was already unhappy with how little time he was able to see his family, and as a unified NWA/WWF champion, he'd have even less. 3. Scott Hall was never in a Royal Rumble, but Razor Ramon was. 4. Brutus Beefcake was originally supposed to win the IC title at SummerSlam's 1988 and 1990. 5. Little Nicholas was supposed to be involved in another match. Kevin Owens and Braun had a match and Nicholas was in the front row. Braun was supposed to bring KO in front of him and Nicholas was going to hit him. Owens was going to throw a fit because Braun's tag partner hit him and Braun should be DQ'd for it. It got cut. 6. Rey Mysterio and Brock Lesnar both competed on 3 SummerSlam events a decade apart from each other, 2002, 2012, and 2022. 7. Raven is the only wrestler to have an ECW, WCW, WWE, and TNA action figure. 8. While countless WCW titles were contended on a WWE/WWF pay-per-view, only one WWE/WWF title was ever contended on WCW pay-per-view. The WWF Light Heavyweight title, as part of the J Crown held and defended by Ultimo Dragon. 9. Triple H has never beaten Devon Dudley. 10. The Bushwhackers are the only wrestlers that have both a 5-star and -5-star match. That wraps up our 10-bell history. How was everyone's weekend so far? Any good wrestling shows you've been to? Any upcoming? Let me know on Instagram, @Wrestlezona is where you can find me. Let's get into our interview with Gino Rivera. Who are you?
My name is Gino Rivera, and I am a pro wrestler of 17 years, coach, trainer, and active competitor.
Where are you from originally?
I am from Honolulu, Hawaii.
Honolulu, Hawaii, wow. Where are you based out of now?
I'm based out of Albuquerque, New Mexico.
What did the move look like for you, traveling throughout the states and competing?
As far as like the move and just the distance between states, when I first came to the mainline, is what they called it, in California, it was very new to me. I came to the States in 2000, and I've been out here ever since. I got my training in California in 2008. I made my debut in 2000, a little in 2008, and then officially in 2009. And then as far as traveling the States now, it's just a wonderful thing. It's like what I've always dreamed of. I've always wanted to travel and go places that I couldn't afford to go myself.
And you were trained by tons of people, but mostly at the Santino Bros Training Center in California?
That's correct. Yes, absolutely. I was trained at Santino Bros Wrestling Academy in Los Angeles, California. I had a bunch of trainers: Joey Chaos, Mongol Santino, the late great Supreme, Angel Exotico, Robbie Phoenix, Rico Dynamite, Steve Payne, Clay Montley, Carnage, Jezebel, BC Killer. These are all people that had their hands on me and shaped and molded me into the professional wrestler that I am today. And I'm just so grateful for them, because without them, there would be no me.
You're no stranger, like we talked about, to competing pretty much everywhere. What would you say is an average number of matches you work per year?
It can vary. Before the pandemic hit, I was wrestling Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, at least. Saturday I do a double shot, 2 matches in a day. Sunday I do another double shot, 2 matches in a day. After the pandemic hit, it's slowed down quite a bit, where it's more 1 match a day. But I like to plan my weeks where, I can travel Thursday and I wrestle Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's usually what the ultimate pro wrestler would do. He would wrestle, in El Paso Friday, in Phoenix Saturday, and in Denver Sunday, and then return home and recuperate and then train. So I can't give you an exact number, but I have been consistently wrestling for 17 years, every single weekend, spanning from Thursday to Sunday. I don't even keep track anymore. I wish I did, kind of like Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho would keep track of how many matches he's had. A lot of these kids are doing that. I am more chasing the high of being a professional wrestler. I don't really care to give a number of, like, I've had 1,000 matches or 500 matches.
Yeah.
I just know I have good matches, I have bad matches, and then, I have some pretty much in the middle matches. But I love professional wrestling, and this is only a dream. This is what people dream about.
Is it mostly positive for you working day in and day out as a pro wrestler?
Yes. I tell my students, I tell anybody who will listen to me, whether it's vets or green wrestlers, which mean new people, wrestling has its highs and lows. And in the span of 17 years, I've been brought to my lowest of the low, and I've been brought to the highest of the high. So whether it be backstage, politics and personnel and dealing with coworkers or matches or bad fans or great fans, it doesn't matter. Wrestling is kind of like a roller coaster. You go up, you go down. You go up, you go down. And it could be something as little as travel. Brock Lesnar hates traveling. I am a person that right now I'm okay traveling. Before, I used to love this. Now it's like, here we go. You know what I mean? Or what are we going to experience today? Is it going to be a flight delay, a pop tire in a car? Am I going to get forgotten at the airport? Am I going to have to catch an Uber 3 hours away? There's always something in professional wrestling which can either bring it very high and happy or very low and sad.
So you talked a bit about your debut in 2009.
It was in 2008 that I had a battle royal, but I don't really, take that as a debut. So my official match, yes, where I had a singles match was in 2009 of January. Yes.
Mm. And what did your beginning training look like for you?
It was hard. It was tough. I had no idea that wrestling would be this physical, mentally, financially, just everything, verbally. It was very, very tough for me. I just thought you get in there and you just go and fight and wrestle, and it's definitely not that. And as I have my own school here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, with Off the Ropes Pro Wrestling, a lot of people have that same mentality of like, hey, I'm here to wrestle. I signed up. When do I get in the ring? And it's not that easy. You have to earn your way. You have to earn your stripes. You definitely have to pay your dues. It's just very, very tough. At one time, I could not afford wrestling, and I was working a job, and I still couldn't afford to pay the dues. So I kind of said, hey, I'd love to stay, but I have to quit because I can't afford this. And I was lucky enough to be one of the talents where my coach pretty much said, hey, don't worry. We see something in you. Don't worry about paying. Just stick with this. We really, really like you. And I cannot believe someone did that for me, and I'll never forget that. So, I see that here with my students as well. There's a lot of good talent here in New Mexico, and sometimes they struggle financially, but they have the it factor. They have it. They have everything they need to be a professional wrestler. They just don't have the money. So I kind of cut them slack as well. But wrestling is very tough, and I don't change any of the ways that it was brought on me with my students. They go through the same exact playbook.
Yeah, I love how you mentioned Off the Ropes Training School. Can you talk to me a bit about that?
Absolutely. So I started my school called OTR, Off the Ropes Pro Wrestling School, here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I am the owner, the trainer, I'm a wrestler here, a coach, and a promoter. And we were established in July of 2019, and we are still going as of today currently. We actually have training today, open ring, at 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. We train every single day, Monday through Thursday, from 4 to 8 p.m., and you can definitely find us online on social media, Off the Ropes Pro Wrestling, Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I'd like to say that we are training the best, the very best that the Southwest can produce. I am one of the few fortunate schools here in the Southwest, reputable schools. I am endorsed by Santino Bros Wrestling Academy in Los Angeles, which is the parent school, and a school that I came from. So I have a lot of supporters, from Bob Evans, you name it, you know what I mean? A lot of people that support me, and people that use my talent, such as Ocean Avery, Gypsy Mac, JKM, Dante King, Roland Steele. The list goes on. I could name all of them, but we love what we do here at Off the Ropes Pro Wrestling, and we have a lot of people that come and stop by and come and train. So I welcome the public. I welcome anybody that wants to be a professional wrestler, and they want to do it the right way. They want to learn slowly. They want to learn at their own pace. I sell patience, and I'll be as patient as you need me to be to make your dreams come true of getting into the ring and becoming a professional wrestler.
That's great. Do you take a great sense of pride in your students?
Absolutely. I love seeing my students excel. My very first student, her name was Gypsy Mac, and she is on such a roll right now. This is a girl who gave up everything to do this, and I'm so excited to see her excel in wrestling. She's still fresh, she's still new, but the rewards that she's getting now are rewards that I wasn't getting when I was, in the business at her level. She left her jobs, countless jobs, to do this, to pay for wrestling. She's been injured, and she still never gave up. This girl left Albuquerque, New Mexico, moved Las Vegas, Nevada, to pursue her wrestling dreams because she still believes in herself as much as I believe in her. And I try to instill that in my professional wrestlers that I create today. I'm very vocal. I'm very pushy as far as, hey, you have to leave the nest. Once training is over, you have to go somewhere else. You have to learn from somebody else. You cannot learn pro wrestling just through me. There are other trainers that are better at this. I am just the starter kit. You know what I mean? And I love the fact that I'll have some of my students, literally, I've had 2 of them go to Germany. You know, Gypsy Mac is traveling everywhere around the United States. Dante King has multiple championships. I've gotten my student JKM with GCW, who's, you know, he's all over GCW. He's a young up-and-comer. He's going to be something special, I promise you. Yeah. And I trained the future of Albuquerque wrestling, which, if you know, 20 years ago, there really wasn't great wrestlers here. And now I'm responsible for majority, 90% of the wrestlers that are coming out of this state.
That's great. So you've been talking a bit about the New Mexican scene, but I'm talking to you from Arizona. Is there anything you could tell me about the scene here in Arizona, the pro wrestling scene?
Absolutely. Arizona is a blessing. Without Arizona, there wouldn't really be much of a wrestling scene in New Mexico. It's kind of like brother-sister, sister-sister, brother-brother, a relationship where we're considered part of Arizona wrestling. You know, we have great competitors here, but we face problems with the Athletic State Commission, who are kind of like crooks, robbers, and gangsters, right? They want their money, and they've made it very hard for us to run shows here in Albuquerque. So we've been forced to travel to Phoenix, to Tucson, to Mesa, you name it. Arizona is literally like heaven. I love Arizona. I won my first championship in Arizona. I have a special place in my heart for that. A lot of my students debut in Arizona. But we are all connected as far as like Utah, Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, El Paso, and Amarillo. We're very all connected as cities and states, and we all share the same talent. And it's just a wonderful place. Thank you, Arizona, for everything you've done for not only me, but my students as well in OTR as a school.
Thank you, Arizona. So you've appeared on a multitude of shows across too many promotions to name. But
yes.
what is undercarding for legends like, you know, Nick Gage at a GCW show or Mick Foley at the former Cactus League wrestling shows? What does that do for you and your brand?
That helps me a lot. Nick Gage is the man. Nick Gage is one of the wrestling gods for independent wrestling, and couldn't be more nicer of a human being. There's a lot of people that look up to Nick Gage. There's a lot of people that are scared of Nick Gage. But a guy like me, I see Nick Gage, and I see him as a hero. I see him as a guy who's learned from his mistakes and who's trying to make the scene better and help young talent like myself, along with the rest of the GCW crew. So shout out to Brett Lauderdale, shout out to GCW, shout out to Nick Gage. As far as Mick Foley, that was a dream. That was unreal. I could not believe that I was sharing the ring with such a legend, somebody that I've watched as a child and was at one time afraid of. I was definitely afraid of Mankind, especially attacking The Undertaker, which is one of my very favorite feuds ever. You know, 1996 Undertaker versus Mankind. But to look this man in his eye and talk trash about his daughter, his career, and just, you know, stand in the ring and kind of go, wow, this is so surreal. I'm so appreciative of this moment. And he couldn't have been a nicer guy to let me do that with him, to work with me. He was super cool. I can't believe I had a sock in my mouth. Can't believe I was embarrassed, but I can definitely hold that memory in my heart. I have video and pictures of it, and I got to meet one of my heroes. So thank you so much, Mick Foley. I look forward to seeing you in Albuquerque in April, so that's going to be great. I'm going to be a guest there, and I'm going to sit, you know, in the audience and raise my hand when the questions are there, and I'm going to let them know. I was one of the guys you beat up in Arizona. How does it feel to stand? I don't think he's standing. How does it feel to sit there and be half the man that you used to be and see his reaction? So that's going to be fun for me. I'll make sure to record that for everybody.
Yeah, that'll be good. Your work ethic and promo online and social media to me is very impressive. What's the incentive to post as much as you end up finding yourself doing?
The way I see it is we have to be seen in professional wrestling, and if you're not being seen, you're doing it wrong. There's a lot of BS online. There's a lot of stuff that is very negative, and through all the negative, you have to weed out. And I tell I tell anybody who will listen to me, you have to promote yourself the way you see yourself. No one is going to see you the way you see yourself. No one is going to book you better than yourself. No one knows your character better than you. You have to spend the extra time promoting daily because there's people that don't go on social media every day. But who knows? It could be that one day that somebody big with an eye, with a certain reach and a certain connect to a brand goes, hey, I see this kid promoting himself all day. That's the kind of guy I want on my team, and just because I've done that consistently every hour of the day, I have been booked more places than I can ever imagine. I get DMs all the time. Love how you promote. We got some room over here if you'd like to come over. And I'm like, sure thing. I'd love to come. I pick up seminars. I do seminars all over the country, teaching myself. I'm teaching the students, the future wrestlers, how to do social media, backstage etiquette, how to carry yourself outside of the ring, what to wear, how to speak, how to look, how to reach the camera. You know what I mean? I enjoy teaching. I enjoy learning even more. And I learn something every day. I'm not here for the likes. Sure, getting 1,000 likes on a post would be amazing. But something, when people go to my page, they're not going to see a bunch of trash talking. They're going to see this guy is busy. This guy is devoted. This guy is serious about his craft. And I instill that in my wrestlers that I create today and train today. So yes, social media is very important. It's powerful, and it's helped mold my career. I've been so many great places. I've met so many wonderful people and have so many opportunities with the WWE, AEW, GCW, off simply because I promote.
Yeah, when those big promotions come into town like WWE, AEW, I know you did. You were one of the dance crew for No Way Jose at the 2019 Royal Rumble in Phoenix, correct?
Absolutely. Yes, that was me. I was in the WWE in 2019 for the Royal Rumble in Phoenix, and I got an opportunity to become an extra talent where we were there for whatever they need. And I had the opportunity to work with Drew McIntyre, former WWE champion and current superstar. And that man was amazing to work with, and I love to see what he's doing on TV. He's amazing. So, yeah, I was one of the guys there. I've worked with The New Day, Cody Rhodes, Brock Lesnar, Samoa Joe. I've actually gotten ring time to showcase my craft as well. There's a lot of people who have done extra work, and they really never got into the ring. They've just been on TV for security or just handing a cup of coffee to Alexa Bliss. Well, I can say that I've had dark matches, tryouts. I've had an opportunity to showcase what I've got, not just get squashed, but showcase what I can do in the ring. 205 Live, February 2018. I did that, and I wrestled Grand Metalik and Lince Dorado. I was unsuccessful in my debut, but, I got to work with Dean Malenko. How many people can say that? I got to work for the WWE under those bright lights in front of all the people that I care about, the fans, my peers, my colleagues in Arizona. That was one of the best moments of my life. Talking Stick Arena, I was there. You guys can find that episode. It's episode 65 on 205 Live if you're ever looking it up.
And you had a AEW dark match with Big Bill where the crowd actually rooted behind you for a bit. They were chanting your name.
Yes, that was one of the greatest feelings ever. I'm a constant in any city I go to, and I love El Paso. It is one of my favorite cities to wrestle in. So people were very, very, very familiar with who I was and what was going to happen, So I got to the building in El Paso, Texas. It was the El Paso County Coliseum, February 8th of 2023. And there was a lot of confusion that day. It's my first time working for AEW, so things are done differently from AEW and WWE. And I took the opportunity that was given to me, and I got into the ring with Big Bill. I think he was called Big Cass in WWE, and he couldn't be, any more of a pro than he already is. He was awesome. I got to work with Arya Daivari as my agent and Jerry Lynn as well. These are guys that I looked up to and saw on TV, and now I'm back there as a wrestler, and I'm going in front of everybody. I'm getting my butt kicked, but, the crowd broke out in a roar of, Gino chants, and I couldn't believe it. Big Bill couldn't believe it, you know what I mean? And he kind of laughed it off and was like, wow, like they're behind this kid. Who is this kid? And sure enough, after the match is over, I got to talk to Tony Khan, and he just gave me the thumbs up and said, that was awesome, that was great, and moved on. And that's what I needed. That was great. And I look forward to coming back and getting that feeling again, So I know AEW is coming to Albuquerque. They come to Phoenix often, and, hopefully I get picked up for another opportunity so I can show them that I am not just another wrestler out here. I've got something special, and they need to take a look at me.
I asked this question because of your constant grind towards your image, but are you the Lil B of pro wrestling?
The Lil B?
Lil B, yes, like the rapper.
Is that the rapper?
Yes.
I love Lil B. Yeah, so I could definitely take that. I'll definitely take that. I don't think there's anybody grinding harder than I am every day, thick and thin. Man. I do this. I live, breathe, eat, sleep, and you know what, this business. There's not a moment that I don't think of wrestling. I'm not doing wrestling. I'm talking about training, traveling, dealing with professional wrestling promoters, fighting athletic state commissions. I'm running a show here in Albuquerque, too. So I do it all. I'm a trainer, coach, mentor, promoter. I do it all. So wrestling has been very kind to me, and I'm trying to give back to the sport as well. But I don't think there's anybody that's grinding harder than I am. Maybe one guy I'd like to say, Chico Adams. He's a great guy. And some of the guys that didn't get picked up for the WWE ID, I know a few of them out there grinding hard. Stick with it. Stay with it. You guys will get there, I'm sure. And I just consider myself one of those guys that when they mention Gino Rivera, hey, that kid is a busy bee. That kid is a hustler. He wants this. I hope that earns me another opportunity someday.
Do you have a favorite moment across your decade-plus career of competing in the ring?
Yes, it was definitely my 205 Live match. I'll never forget that as long as I live. I know that as soon as that match was done, I was like, okay, if I never make it to the big stage, I'm okay with this. But it didn't do that. It kind of just put a fire under my butt and kind of said, all right, you want more of that? Go get it. You like the taste of this coffee? Well, there's a whole pot over there. And that's kind of what it was. So I got to be a part of 205 Live for the WWE, and I wasn't told that I was getting squashed. It was literally, show us what you can do out there, but don't overshadow the wrestlers. And I said, got it. And I got to get in there in a tag match with Evan Daniels, who's awesome. He's a great Arizona wrestler. And I got to showcase what I got to do. And to say that my bookings didn't jump after that and my fees didn't go up, I'd be a liar. That was one of the greatest moments of my life, just laying in the ring, looking up at the ceiling, working with the stars. I got great feedback, and I'm always invited back every single time. So I truly love and adore the WWE for that opportunity. I can't believe it still to this day. A lot of people know me just from that, everything I've ever done in my career, they've never seen, but they do know, hey, I saw you at 205 Live in WWE, or, WWE has been a part of my life since I can remember, and it's just so wonderful to know that people know me for the WWE and not anything else. You know what I mean? I love that. I truly love that.
As someone with quite some experience in this, how receptive are fans to intergender wrestling?
It's a little 50-50. A lot of people don't like the intergender wrestling. I thrive off of it. I love working with the women in our industry and showing these men who don't support it, or these women who don't think it's right, showing them that, hey, these girls, they're bad too. Like, they're awesome. They're great. And you guys won't give them a chance to see what they can do with men. And it's different when two girls are wrestling in the ring compared to a girl and a guy. The levels of strength, the level of thinking from both, brains, it's awesome. I am a full supporter of intergender wrestling, and if it considers a man and a girl getting in there with wrestling, I love it. I love the fact that girls are stepping up to the plate and said, I'm not scared of you. I want to get in there with the men too. There was a beautiful lady by the name of Mae Young, and she would say, hit me like one of the boys, darn it. Slam me like one of the boys, darn it. And sure enough, you know what I mean? If you didn't do that, she would get upset. You know what I mean? Don't treat me like a girl, treat me like a wrestler. And I love the fact that there are women out there who live under those same guidelines. You get in there with Masha Slamovich, and she's going to bring it. You know what I mean? She's definitely going to bring it. Sage Sin, she's going to bring it. There's a lot of women. Gypsy Mac, Amira, they're going to bring it if you do not. And I love the fact that there are tough women out there.
Yeah. As someone who was a champion prior to the 2020 pandemic times, what can you say about the state of pro wrestling pre and post COVID era?
It's definitely changed, from the fans to the promoting styles to the just being clean in general. It's definitely changed. I don't know for the good or the bad. I can say a little bit of both, you know what I mean? But it was a scary time in 2020. I actually wrestled and did AEW in March right before the world shut down, and I'll never forget that as long as I live. I wrestled in empty arenas. I traveled for hours to wrestle in front of nobody but two cameras. I remember when there was limited people in the arena, spacious fans. They could only have 20 fans, and I'm like, oh my gosh! I traveled 12 hours to wrestle in front of 17 fans. You could hear yourself think when you were in the ring of the pandemic. So I do remember post-pandemic, it was very hard to get back on track, but we found a way. We all did. It's just very different now. Before the pandemic, it was just the wild, wild west. It was very tough, very hard. And I think it was a little good change, but also a bad change. So I'm indecisive about that, Definitely something I can remember off the top of my head.
What can you say about those promotions who survived during that era and why they survived compared to the others who didn't?
Kudos to them. They were smart. That's all I got to say about that,
As we wrap up episode 10 of Wrestlezona on 88.7 The Pulse, I'm Lance Reese, joined over the line with the Frank Sinatra of the Spanish Mafia, Gino Rivera. And Gino, I have one last question for you. I wanted to highlight something of yours. I really enjoy your in-ring comedy and the fact that you're no stranger to the different types of matches with clashes of emotion and personality. How does one find a perfect balance of emotion and comedy in this ever-expanding business?
To that I say, you can never take yourself seriously. I tell that to everybody. I go, look, I'm pretty sure Samoa Joe is a hilarious person. I've also seen wrestlers like Colt Cabana have great, serious matches. I've seen a lot of professional wrestlers like Santino Marella, who's a shooter, a legit fighter, who is hilarious, Yeah. And I find myself looking myself in the mirror and going, I can do all styles of wrestling. I've become adaptable. There's nothing I can't do, no style of wrestling I can't wrestle, because I'm versatile. And I'm what every promoter wants. I can do everything. I can be serious. I can be conniving. I can be funny. And that's why I truly in my heart believe that is why I am booked consistently and constantly around the country down into Mexico. They see that I can do it all. If they need funny Gino, I can do it. If they need mean Gino, I can do it. If they need psycho Gino, I can do it. I can do anything. But I don't take myself seriously. And a lot of wrestlers struggle with that because they want to be the Randy Orton. They want to be the Macho Man. They want to be those tough guys. all the time. But they don't understand that, there's a time and a place for that. And there are wrestlers on the card that are with that same persona. They've seen it 1,000 times. And most of the people there want to be entertained. And when you're a tough guy, yeah, it's kind of entertaining, but it's also intimidating. There are children in the crowd, which is our number one customer, children, and families in the crowd. They want to be entertained. They want to laugh. They want to have a memory. And I can tell you right now, I can wrestle circles around everybody, and then I can go in there and do absolutely nothing and give somebody a memory where they come up to me and go, you know what? You didn't throw a punch in there, but you were so fun to watch. I love to cheer you, or I love to boo you. I love to hate you. And sometimes I get those reactions better when I'm entertaining than being the scary Gino Rivera. That doesn't really get a lot of reaction. They just go, yeah, that was cool, but not as fun. I don't remember anything other than you being mad. Going in there versus, me doing cartwheels around the ring and having a guy chase me and not being able to catch me and having him, eliminate himself, Yeah. I like to make people smile. I spend more time making other children smile than, my own sometimes. And sometimes that's hurtful, but I love the fact that by the end of the show, the families come up to me and they go, I can't wait to see you again. When are you going to be in town? And I love telling them, please tell the promoter that, so they know exactly who they're dealing with. They know exactly who to bring in, how to pay this person, and where to put them on the card, So I truly believe that. I'm versatile, and that's what you have to be as a professional wrestler. You have to be adaptable. You have to read the crowd, hear the crowd, feel the crowd, and that's how you succeed as a professional wrestler.
Well, Gino, I have a big smile on my face, and I really do appreciate you coming on Wrestlezona through the line here and talking with me all things wrestling.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been wonderful. This has been fun. I can't wait to do this again. Hopefully we do this soon when I'm a little further in my career.
Well, that wraps up episode 10 of Wrestlezona on 88.7 The Pulse. I'm Lance Reese, and I look forward to seeing all of you next weekend, March 9th, on episode 11 of Wrestlezona on 88.7 The Pulse. Do you have a favorite song or segment of the show? DM me at Wrestlezona on Instagram is where you can find me. Until next time.